Yo, what's up, guys? It's Noah here. And in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the three-game Thanksgiving Day NFL slate. Every year, yearly tradition, we got the NFL host. They're going to have three games going on during Thanksgiving, and they're always, one game after the other. So you have you have your noon game, your game you'll get to watch while you eat lunch. You'll have your afternoon game. Maybe you get some seconds, you get some food in the afternoon. You'll have a game to watch then, and then you got your night game when you're eating some dinner. You have a game to watch at night. So I always enjoy the Thanksgiving Day slate, man. You get to enjoy the day with some family, eat some good food, watch some football. I mean, there's really nothing better than that. And you get to watch each game one after the other, too, so you don't have to worry about multiple games going on at the same time. You can just focus in on one game. For DFS purposes, makes for a fun sweat. Definitely, for strategy, you kind of want to think about late swap, how you should be, changing up your lineup during the day, depending on how things go. So, like, if you roster a player in the early game and he does really bad, maybe you should be swapping off some chalky players you have in the later games, just kind of so you're not really drawing dead at that point. But we're going to talk through this Thanksgiving Day slate. We're going to go position by position, quarterback through tight end, kind of give you guys my thoughts, what I do like recording this video on Tuesday afternoon. We are going to have to pay attention to the injury report. There are some key guys questionable, like especially in the Saints backfield. Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram both did not practice on Tuesday. So that's going to be a situation to monitor. CeeDee Lamb got injured in Sunday's game against the Chiefs, got a concussion. He's still in concussion protocol. I doubt he plays Thursday, but that'll be something to monitor. Allen Robinson didn't play Sunday. We'll have to see if he's able to play come Thursday on a short week. Probably not. But yeah, we're going to have to pay attention to the injury report. But as always, guys, we're going to talk through the slate, kind of give my thoughts, what I do like as of Tuesday afternoon. Before we get started with the breakdown, though, please do hit the like button, guys. I always appreciate all the likes. Hit the subscribe button as well. And if you have not yet, check out the sponsor of the video, Prize Picks. Prize Picks, they're running a cool promo for Thanksgiving that I'm going to show on the screen right now. So if you look on the screen, Prize Picks is running a promo with Josh Allen's passing yards. Now, as of the time I'm making this video, Tuesday afternoon, his passing yard projections currently set at 275.5, which is what it would be. But late Wednesday, so I think midnight Wednesday, Wednesday night, early Thursday morning, if you go and refresh and check Prize Picks, they are going to change his passing yard projection to 0.5. So they're basically giving you a free pick. You'll just take the over on his passing yards and then pair that with another pick that you like, or maybe you can make 3, 4, 5 picks if you want. But definitely check Prize Picks Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday night, at midnight, early Thursday morning, and Josh Allen's passing yard projection will go down to 0.5. It's a promo they're running. They're going to try and get new users, trying to get people to join the site. If you're new, if you haven't checked out Prize Picks yet, please do sign up. This is obviously a cool promo they're running. I think it's a $25 max bet. So obviously you can't put like a shit ton of money on this, but it's basically free $25. You just have to get the other pick right that you pair with Josh Allen, and potentially triple up your money, because if you do like two picks, and then you parlay them, you get both picks right, you'll triple up your money. So even if you were to only put $25 on it, which is the max you can put, you still would win $75. Or you could, maybe do 3 picks. In that scenario, you would win $125 if you put 25 on it. So check out that promo Wednesday at midnight, early Thursday morning. They will change his passing yard projection to 0.5. Obviously, you would take the over there. That would basically be a free pick that you would win, and then you would just have to find another pick that you would like to go with that. But if you want to sign up for Prize Picks, you want to take advantage of this promo, use code NOAH when you sign up, and they will match your first deposit. They will give you a free bet up to $100. So basically, if you deposit $25, you'll have obviously $25 you can put on this promo, and then you will have an additional $25 that you can put on any other picks you want to make for the Thanksgiving Day games. They already have a ton of projections up for this slate. They got rushing yard, receiving yards, passing yards. They don't have any fantasy point projections up yet, but those will probably be posted sometime Wednesday. They'll have fantasy point projections posted as well for these Thanksgiving Day games, and you can take a look at their board, make some picks for yourself. If you have not signed up for Prize Picks yet, please, guys, use the promo code NOAH. They'll match your first deposit, give you a free bet up to $100. Take advantage of this promo, make some easy money. As long as Josh Allen throws for 1 yard on Thanksgiving, you're going to win that pick. So check that out. Wednesday at midnight when they release that promo. But yeah, let's take a look at this Thanksgiving Day slate, and we're going to start off at the quarterback position. So quarterback for this three-gamer, I mean, it's really straightforward. Like, the guys that are projecting well and the guys that are getting all the ownership are really the top 3 guys: Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Derek Carr. Trevor Siemian looks like he's going to start for the Saints again. There was a report from a beat writer that, he could maybe get benched down the road, but I'm assuming Siemian will be the starter for the Saints. Andy Dalton, it's already been reported that he is going to start in place of Justin Fields. Justin Fields not able to play with an injury. So Andy Dalton's going to be starting for the Bears, and then it looks like Jared Goff's going to be starting for the Lions. He was out last week, but we got a report that he is trending towards being the starter come Thursday. So, like, I don't think you're really going to be want to play in those guys. Trevor Siemian, Andy Dalton, Jared Goff, like, they're all going to be super low owned. They're projecting for no ownership. All the ownership is going to these three guys, Allen, Prescott, Carr. It's hard not to just really lock in on these three, though, because these are the three quarterbacks that really give you all the upside, especially Josh Allen and Dak Prescott. I think those are by far the two best quarterback plays on the slate. They're obviously the most expensive, but the pricing on this Thanksgiving Day slate is pretty soft. DraftKings always makes the pricing pretty soft, just to kind of appeal to casuals. You'll have a lot more casual people playing Thanksgiving, and they want to make it easy for people to build lineups. So you can definitely pay up for Josh Allen here. He's my favorite quarterback overall. When we're looking at the totals in these games, right now the Bills and Saints total is not that high. It's only at 45.5. But I still think this is a spot where Josh Allen has a lot of upside. He hasn't looked great these last few weeks. He's kind of been up and down. We've seen somewhat of a low floor from Josh Allen this year, but we know that ceiling is still there. We know he can get you 300 plus passing yards. He has rushing upside as well. He can throw for 3 touchdowns, can run for 1 or 2 touchdowns. He's got legit 40-point upside. Josh Allen's one of these guys that has slate-breaking upside. On a 3-game slate, it's going to be hard not to consider him a top quarterback option. So I really like Josh Allen. I think he's my favorite quarterback overall. I like him a lot on Yahoo as well at $38. I think he's the best quarterback play over there. Dak Prescott, though, would definitely be second for me behind Josh Allen. Now, the one concern I do have with Prescott here is that he's going to be without some key weapons. Mark Cooper is going to be out. Doesn't look like CeeDee Lamb's going to play either. We saw last week, after CeeDee got injured, really just the whole game in general, the Cowboys did not look good last week in Arrowhead. Prescott really struggled. But now they get to go back home, and where Dak has always played well. He's always been really good at home. They get to face a pretty mediocre Raiders defense, I would say. This is not a spot where I'm really worried about Prescott struggling. If you need the savings, I think dropping down from Josh Allen to Dak Prescott makes plenty of sense. Dak obviously has upside as well. I do have a little bit of interest in him. He's definitely second for me behind Allen. I think Josh Allen gives you a little bit more upside in general. And the only worry I have with Dak is not having some of his top weapons. Maybe that limits his upside a little bit, but he's still a strong play. And I think the value quarterback that you're probably going to be going to if you want to save at quarterback, Derek Carr is definitely the best value quarterback on the board. Now, I haven't played Derek Carr really at all this season, but on a 3-game slate with limited options, especially with the minimal amount of value at the quarterback position, Derek Carr definitely stands out here. This game does have the highest total on the slate, 51 total right now between the Cowboys and Raiders. If there's any game that probably shoots out, I think it would be this one. At 5,900, I think Derek Carr is a really strong value at the quarterback position. Really, these three guys, man, this is where I think, if I was playing one lineup on the slate, I'm going to play one of these three quarterbacks. I think Josh Allen's my favorite right now, but I have no problems with Dak, no problems with Derek Carr. The rest of the guys like Siemian, Dalton, Jared Goff, like you're basically just kind of, you're dart throwing with those guys. Like none of them are projecting that well. None of them are getting any ownership. On a 3-game slate, anytime you can get a quarterback for really low ownership when, other quarterbacks are getting all the ownership, sure, it makes sense, but I don't have much confidence in Trevor Siemian. I don't have much confidence in Andy Dalton. I will say that Andy Dalton does get a really good matchup. The Lions have just been terrible this year. I still don't really want to play Andy Dalton, but I guess if you made me choose one of these guys between Siemian, Dalton, or Goff, I think Dalton's my favorite. But I really think, at quarterback, the top 3 guys are where we really want to be focusing. We can move on to the running back position. So at running back, like I said, Zeke did get in it. He did get a full practice in on Tuesday, so he should be good to go come Thursday. I'm expecting Zeke to play. If he does play, at 8K, he's obviously a good pay-up option. I haven't been on Zeke that much this season. I've always preferred, CMC, Dalvin Cook, those guys over Zeke when we're talking about like a full main slate. But on a 3-game, Thanksgiving Day slate where we don't have really any other options, it doesn't look like Kamara's going to play. So Zeke's probably your best pay-up option if you are going to pay up at running back. We know Zeke's going to get a pretty heavy workload. We know he's going to get most of the goal line work, if not all the goal line work. Obviously, Tony Pollard's going to take some touches away from Zeke, but for the most part, Zeke is a workhorse running back. He's definitely one of the safer options on the board at 8K. If you want to pay up for Zeke at running back, you obviously have no problems with that. But we do have some pretty good mid-range plays, and we could maybe get some good value at running back if Kamara and Mark Ingram are both out. We'll talk about who would benefit in that situation. The Kamara, I'm not expecting him to play. Again, he didn't practice Tuesday. He's been out for like the last 2 or 3 weeks. I doubt he plays on a short week, so I'm not expecting Kamara to play, which makes DeAndre Swift our next guy up. Now, DeAndre Swift, I think, probably gets a little bit lower ownership compared to Zeke. I would expect Zeke's higher owned than Swift. But But, on a 3-game slate, all these guys are going to get owned for the most part. Right now, DeAndre Swift's projecting for 46% ownership. Zeke's projecting for 36%. They're probably going to be similarly owned. You're probably going to see each guy be around 40% owned. On a 3-game slate, DeAndre Swift is obviously someone you can look to. The one thing I worry about is that the Lions, God, they're just such a bad team. Like, we can see them just come in some weeks and literally, put up 7 points, put up 14 points. I mean, right now, the Lions have a 19.25 implied team total, so they're not expecting, Vegas not expecting them to put up a ton of points here. But DeAndre Swift just gets so much involvement in this offense. Like, he's going to get 12 to 15 carries. He's going to get really good usage in the passing game as well. I will say that his role is very, very secure. Like, even if the Lions are trailing, they're still going to involve DeAndre Swift a ton. He's at 7,300. He's a good play. I think I would prefer Zeke just straight up, but I think Swift is someone we can definitely look to. If Alvin Kamara is out again, I mean, Mark Ingram, assuming that he would play, would probably be one of the best options on the slate. Mark Ingram has been literally used as like a true workhorse running back. These last 2 weeks without Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram's played on 85 and 72% of the snaps. He's got 18 and 22 touches the last 2 weeks without Kamara. Like, they have shown they really don't want to involve anyone else. Tony Jones was activated last week, but he didn't get really many touches. Dwayne Washington, they haven't been giving any opportunity to him either. They've literally been using Mark Ingram as a workhorse running back without Kamara. And if Kamara were to be out again and Ingram were to play, I think Mark Ingram at 6,200 would probably be one of my favorite running backs. And then David Montgomery at 6K, I think is definitely the standout play at the running back position. He's just too cheap for a good matchup against the Lions, a team that, has never been good at stopping the run, a team that's just really bad in general. And Montgomery, another guy that's been used as a workhorse. He came back from injury 2 weeks ago. It was not like on any limit at all. David Montgomery played on 85% of the snaps, back in week 9, and then last week against the Ravens, he played on 95% of the snaps. Like, he literally almost played on every single snap. He barely came off the field. He's gotten 15 and 15 touches. He's gotten 15 touches in back-to-back games. We know David Montgomery's another guy that will be used in the passing game. So even if game script, is negative here for the Bears, which I don't think it will be, but even if it is, I'm not too worried. I think Montgomery will be out there catching passes if they're playing from behind. And if they have a lead, I expect them to give David Montgomery 15, 16 carries. Matchup's really good. The Lions are terrible. I think David Montgomery looks like one of the better running back plays at first look. I like him a lot at 6K on DK. And I think on Yahoo at $26, he might not get as much ownership there. You do have, Zeke at 33. You got Swift at 29. Like I said earlier, Kamara, I don't expect him to play. I will say that if Kamara is out and Ingram plays, I mean, Mark Ingram at $17 on Yahoo is a great play. I would love him, but, just given the uncertainty about his status right now, we're going to plug Montgomery in just kind of for a first look, just kind of looking at this slate Tuesday. But I think, David Montgomery, really strong play. Mark Ingram, if Kamara's out, I think it's a strong play as well. Josh Jacobs, I kind of like too here against the Cowboys. Now, Josh Jacobs this season has not shown much of a ceiling. He's definitely been touchdown dependent. Like, in order for Josh Jacobs to really have a big game, he's probably going to have to score multiple touchdowns. He really hasn't been that efficient as a runner. He's yet to go for, the most rushing yards he has in a game is 76. He doesn't get a ton of usage in the passing game. I would say his ceiling is not massive. In order for him to have a true ceiling game, you're probably going to need 2 goal line touchdowns for Josh Jacobs, just because, it's very unlikely that he runs for 120, 130 yards. We just haven't seen him do that at all this season. 5,900, I think he's an okay play. I would prefer Ingram. I would prefer David Montgomery. But I think Josh Jacobs is definitely viable if you do want to go there. No problems with him on a short slate like this. And then once you get past Josh Jacobs, it gets pretty thin after this. Tony Pollard is obviously super talented, but he's going to be, behind Zeke. He's going to be splitting touches with Zeke. He probably only gets 8 to 10 touches. Could Tony Pollard break off a long touchdown run or touchdown catch and be someone that wins you the slate at low ownership? He could, but at 5,600, you're basically Tony Pollard. You're just kind of playing, hoping you get lucky here. There's the projections. He doesn't project well for his salary. He's going to be low owned. It's a 3-game slate. Something could happen. Zeke gets injured. There's always a chance that Tony Pollard winds up winning you the slate. But I probably won't be going there. I don't think I'm really going to any of these other running backs. Although I will say that if Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara are both out, so both did not practice Tuesday, then we could be looking to a guy like Tony Jones as probably one of the best value plays on the slate. Tony Jones is the minimum salary. Really, all these other Saints running backs are minimum salary. They're all free. Tony Jones is 4K. Washington's 4K. I'm assuming Tony Jones would be the next man up if Kamara and Ingram are both out. Again, we're going to have to pay attention to their statuses. They're both, they both did not practice Tuesday. Tony Jones is 4K. I don't know too much about Tony Jones, but you would be getting a starting running back at minimum salary. I'd assume he would get close to a workhorse type role. They really don't have anyone else that I think they really want to give carries to. Like Dwayne Washington, they barely involved. He only got 2 touches last week. Tony Jones was kind of the backup behind Ingram, so I would assume he'd be the next man up. The rest of these guys I don't think are really going to be involved. I don't even know if some of these guys are even on the team. Like, I think Josh Adams, yeah, he's on the practice squad. Like, I don't even think maybe he could get called up if Ingram and Kamara are both out. But if Ingram and Kamara both do sit, yeah, I think Tony Jones at 4K would be probably the best value play on the slate. Would be someone that would be really tough to avoid on a short slate like this. But that's kind of my breakdown of the running back position. Now, moving on to wide receiver. You got Stephon Diggs coming in as the most expensive wide receiver, $7,900. Look, I think Stephon Diggs, he's right up there with Zeke as terms of just really, Zeke, Swift, Diggs. Like, you can't go wrong with any of these guys on a 3-game slate. I think since I'm probably going to be playing Josh Allen in my main lineup, definitely want to be stacking him up with Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs, his floor this year, we've seen a pretty safe floor from him. Like, the worst game of the year, he obviously against KC is just really, really bad that game. But, I mean, you look, he's basically giving you double-digit DK points in almost every single game this season. And we know the ceiling is still there for Stephon Diggs. Against the Jets, had a massive game. I will say this is probably not the best spot for Stephon Diggs. He might see a lot of Marshawn Lattimore, who's obviously a good corner. But Diggs is a super talented receiver. He's one of these guys I don't really get too worried about matchups when it comes to, elite receivers, elite running backs. I don't really care who's going to be, lined up against them. These guys can win any matchup. If I like Josh Allen so much, if I'm going to be playing Josh Allen, then might as well stack him up with his number one receiver, Stephon Diggs. I think Stephon Diggs is my favorite pay-up option. I think I do prefer him over Zeke. I prefer him over DeAndre Swift. Definitely like Diggs here. I like him a lot on Yahoo as well at $30. I think he's a top option at wide receiver over there too if you can find a way to fit him in. But then some other wide receivers. This is a position that we do have a lot of good mid-range and value plays. So with Amari Cooper already ruled out for this game, with CeeDee Lamb probably not going to play either, that leaves Michael Gallup as basically the number one receiver for the Cowboys heading into Thursday. And last week, after CeeDee Lamb got injured, Michael Gallup saw 10 targets. He played almost every single snap. He played he played 94% of the snaps last week. Michael Gallup did. We saw Cedric Wilson involved a lot after CeeDee Lamb got injured. We'll talk about Cedric Wilson in a second. But I think Gallup's going to be the number one receiver for the Cowboys, and he's $5,900. I mean, Dak Prescott is still an elite quarterback. This offense is still really good. Obviously, without Amari and without CeeDee Lamb, maybe their upside as a team in general is not as high. But I think Dak still plays well here. I think he's going to feed Gallup a ton. I expect close to double-digit targets for Michael Gallup, especially if CeeDee Lamb's out. Even if CeeDee Lamb plays, I think Michael Gallup would still be a fine option. But I'm expecting CeeDee to be out, which makes Michael Gallup a really good option in the mid-range at wide receiver. And same on Yahoo, $19. Like him a lot over there as well. And then Darnell Mooney, we saw a massive game from him last week with Allen Robinson out. He saw 16 targets. Just absurd usage for Darnell Mooney. Did have a really long touchdown, a 60-yard touchdown, but 5 catches, 121 yards, and a touchdown, 26 DK points last week. Gets a really good matchup this week against the Lions. With Andy Dalton at quarterback, how much upside does Darnell Mooney really have? I don't know, but I think he is a really talented receiver. We've seen him have big games this year, even with the quarterback struggles that the Bears have had. I would prefer Michael Gallup straight up, but especially if Allen Robinson's out again, I mean, Darnell Mooney probably gets close to double-digit targets. He's going to be the number one receiver for this Bears team at $5,700. He is definitely playable on a short slate like this. Now, Hunter Renfrow is kind of the guy that I just never really like playing Hunter Renfrow. I feel like he has no upside at all. Like, I would just rather play Gallup. I would rather play Mooney. Like, I feel like those guys can break off, 50, 60-yard touchdowns. I feel like they have a 100-yard upside. You look at the game log for Renfrow this year. I mean, the most receiving yards he's had in a game is 77. You're probably going to need him to score a touchdown to really put up a big ceiling game, if not multiple touchdowns. Whereas Mooney, we saw last week, he can go for 120, 130 yards. He can break off a long touchdown. Gallup, has a really good, he's got way better quarterback play with Dak over Derek Carr. We know Michael Gallup can break off big plays. So I would just rather play Michael Gallup. I'd rather play Mooney. I think Renfro's playable, but I don't love him. I think his upside compared to those guys is just not nearly as high. He feels like a really safe option. Like, maybe he's someone you would play in cash games. But for tournaments, I prefer the upside on Gallup and Mooney over Renfrow. Allen Robinson, I doubt he plays. Wasn't a participant in Monday's practice. I don't think he practiced on Tuesday either. If he does play, I guess he'd be viable. He's been so bad this year. Maybe things would change here in a good matchup against Detroit. But for the most part, I'm expecting Allen Robinson to be out again. So some other receivers we can talk about, getting to some value. Marcus Callaway and just this Saints offense in general, their passing offense. Like, I've really not played these Saints receivers at all this season, especially like on a full main slate. Now on a 3-game Thanksgiving Day slate with limited options. Is Marquez Callaway in play? He's playable, but I don't feel great about him. I don't feel great about most of these Saints pass catchers. I think the only guy that I really like from the Saints would be Mark Ingram if Kamara's out, or Tony Jones if Kamara and Ingram are both out. I'll probably just be focusing on the backfield from New Orleans. I don't think I'm going to really have much exposure to the receivers. I expect Callaway to be low owned, though. I don't think he's really projecting for much ownership right now. Right now, Callaway's getting, just 7.6% projected ownership on DK. He doesn't really project that well for his salary, but he should be low owned, so he's playable. A lot of these guys like Khalif Raymond, Traquan. Like Traquan, I think would be my favorite Saints receiver if I had to play anyone. His targets have been pretty good lately. 15 targets the last 2 games. I think he's probably the safest of all the Saints receivers. Again, I don't feel great about any of these guys, but I think if I had to play one, it would be Traquan. But I like the Bills receivers the most, like Emmanuel Sanders at 4,800, Cole Beasley at 4,500. These are the kind of guys I definitely like for value if you're gonna go cheap at wide receiver, just because we know this Bills offense is really good. Even in a maybe tougher spot against the Saints defense, this Bills offense is just so good. They're so efficient. They can put up a ton of points any week. I know they have been a lot more inconsistent this year. We've seen the Bills really disappoint sometimes, but still, Josh Allen is an elite quarterback. He can throw for 5 touchdowns any week. I feel like if you're going to get big games from some of these cheaper receivers, it's a lot more likely that Manny Sanders, Cole Beasley are the guys that put up the big games compared to, the Saints offense. I don't expect the Saints offense to put up a ton of points really any week until they, get healthy again. While they got Trevor Siemian out there, I just don't really see them doing much offensively, especially against a really good Bills defense. So I like Manny Sanders for value. I like Cole Beasley for value. If I'm going cheaper receiver, I think those 2 guys really stand out. And then below 4K, we got some guys down here we can also consider. Marquise Goodwin was kind of the wide receiver 2 last week with Allen Robinson out. He saw 8 targets, 4 catches, 104 yards, and a touchdown. He also did have a long 49-yard catch. I think that was a touchdown, a long 49-yard touchdown. But again, he played on a ton of snaps. Like I said, he was basically close to an every down receiver. He was, basically the wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 behind Mooney. He played on, I think, like 80% of the snaps or something close to that. I'm trying to get it pulled up real quick. Goodwin played on 71% of the snaps last week, which is a season high for him. So for 3,800, if he's going to play on 70, 80% of the snaps again without Allen Robinson, I think at 3,800 he's going to make for a pretty solid value. Again, I worry about the quarterback play with Andy Dalton, but I think Goodwin is someone we can look to as a paydown option. And then Cedric Wilson, I think, is going to be probably the best value play. I'm expecting him to be the wide receiver 2, behind Michael Gallup with CeeDee Lamb out. Last week, he played on, like 63% of the snaps, I do believe. 63% of the snaps for Cedric Wilson. He kind of filled in as the, the main guy behind Gallup after CeeDee Lamb got injured. And again, I don't think CeeDee Lamb plays here. So if we're going to see Cedric Wilson, play 60 to 80% of the snaps, somewhere in there, I don't know if they're going to play him on the outside or if they're going to keep him in the slot. I think he probably still plays in the slot. But regardless, he should probably get 7, 8 targets here with Dak Prescott at quarterback, a really good quarterback. The upside's definitely there for Cedric Wilson. At 3,500, he's my favorite value wide receiver right now, assuming that CeeDee Lamb does not play. And he's super cheap on Yahoo, too, at $14. I like Cedric Wilson a lot over there. But there is some good value at wide receiver this week. You've got Manny Sanders, Cole Beasley, Traquan I don't mind, Marquise Goodwin I like for cheap, Cedric Wilson I like for cheap. And then the last guy I want to mention is Josh Reynolds. So Josh Reynolds didn't really do anything last week, saw 3 targets, had 0 catches, but he literally was an every down receiver. Last week I think Josh Reynolds played on 90% of the snaps, if I remember correctly. He was basically the number 1 receiver for them in terms of playing time. 90% of the snaps for Josh Reynolds last week. At 3K, I mean, he's the minimum salary. If he plays on 90% of the snaps, I would assume he has a better game than what he did last week. I mean, obviously, he can't go, it can only go up from there for Josh Reynolds. And if they do get Jared Goff back, I think that does make their offense a little bit better. I don't know if it improves them too much, but I think having Jared Goff instead of Tim Boyle is definitely an upgrade. So Josh Reynolds at 3K, I don't think gets much ownership. Right now, he's projected for, Josh Reynolds projected for, I would assume it's not much ownership. 3.7% ownership. If you're looking for like a dart throw in large field GPPs, I think he's someone that you can definitely consider, especially if he's going to be, a guy that plays 90% of the snaps again. It's going to be hard not to consider him a decent value play, even, in a bad Lions offense. But that's probably it for the receiver position. Now, quickly talking through tight end. Tight end, I think, is kind of straightforward. If you can pay up for Darren Waller here, Darren Waller is definitely the best option at the position. I mean, he projects just so much better than every other tight end. He's projected for 17 DK points. Next guy is Dalton Schultz, who's projected for 13, so you got a 4-point gap in projection there. I think Waller has the most upside. I think he has the highest floor as well. His targets are going to be through the roof. We know he's going to be a guy that gets probably close to double-digit targets just about every week. Had a 100-yard game last week against Cincinnati. Darren Waller's floor this season has been somewhat low. I thought he would be a guy that consistently would put up double-digit DK points, but we've seen a lot of single-point games from him. But still, the target floor, how much he's involved in this offense does make Darren Waller a really good option, and you guys know that, obviously. But if you're not going to pay it for Waller, if you're looking for other options, I mean, Dalton Schultz and TJ Hockenson, I think, are both in play. Like, Dalton Schultz, I think his involvement in the passing game will be through the roof without CeeDee Lamb. Like, he could definitely be second on the team in targets behind Michael Gallup here. He got 8 targets last week. I think they were going to involve Dalton Schultz a ton, and especially with Blake Jarwin out. Like, Dalton Schultz should be an every down tight end. I want to look at his snaps from last week. I'd assume he played on close to every single snap. Yeah, 99% of the snaps last week for Dalton Schultz. So he's going to be an every down tight end at 5,300, especially if CeeDee Lamb's out. I think Dalton Schultz is my second favorite tight end behind Darren Waller. And then TJ Hawkinson's fine at 5,200. Getting Jared Goff back will help. Still don't love this spot for him at 5,200. I would probably prefer Schultz in general, but Hawkinson's playable if you want to go there. Dawson Knox at 4,400. Got 10 targets last week against the Colts. We've seen sometimes this year, like Dawson Knox has shown somewhat of a ceiling, and he's normally not a guy that I would really ever consider as a guy that has a lot of upside. He didn't show any upside last year. But we've seen some big games from him this season. They'll use him a lot in the red zone. He does have 5 touchdowns on the year. For 4,400, I don't mind him as a pay down option. Cole Kmet, I think, is going to be a guy you could look to as a punt play. Only saw 2 targets last week, but if Allen Robinson's out again, he should be probably an every down tight end. I would assume he gets more than 2 targets this week. If you want to go a little bit cheaper, I think he's playable, but I really want to try and focus on the top guys. Like, if I can, I want to try and fit in Darren Waller or Dalton Schultz because I think those are my 2 favorite tight end plays. If you need to go a little bit cheaper, I think Schultz is Hawkinson's playable. I think Knox is playable. I think Cole Kmet's a viable cheap play. I don't know if there's really any other guys I'd be considering. I will say that Adam Trautman's doubtful. He's not expected to play. I think he's already been ruled out. So with Adam Trautman doubtful, not expected to play, you can maybe look to a guy like Juwan Johnson. He really hasn't been involved at all this season, but I would assume he kind of steps in as the number 1 tight end. I don't think the Saints are going to really involve the tight ends many. Like, they're not going to involve the tight ends much in general. Even last week, like Trautman, I think Trautman did have actually a really good game last week, but so far this season, he hasn't shown much upside. He's had some 6-7 target games, but all these guys are really touchdown or bust, these dart throw tight ends. But I guess if you want to take a dart throw on somebody, you can maybe look to Juwan Johnson with Adam Trautman not expected to play. But that's probably it for the tight end position, guys. I think we kind of talked through this Thanksgiving Day slate, broke everything down. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I appreciate you watching, man. If you did enjoy, please do hit the like button, guys. Hit the subscribe button as well. Again, check out PrizePicks. Take advantage of this promo they're running. I'll put it up on the screen one more time so you guys can see. As long as Josh Allen throws for 1 yard Thanksgiving Day, you will win that pick. Obviously, if you look on the screen right now, they don't have his projection changed yet. But Wednesday, midnight on Wednesday, early Thursday morning, they will change his passing yard projection to 0.5 passing yards. And you just take the over there. Find another pick that you like. You would parlay those together if you want, and you could easily triple up your money that way. It's a max of $25 you can put on the bet, but you could turn $25 into $75 that easily as long as you get your other pick right. So if you haven't signed up for PrizePicks yet, sign up. Use code Noah. They'll match your first deposit, give you a free bet up to $100, and you can also take advantage of this promo they are running with Josh Allen's passing yard projection being changed to 0.5 yards. Again, that will change on Thursday morning or Wednesday at midnight. They will change that, but yeah, guys, I think that's it. I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you guys have a really good Thanksgiving. Enjoy the day with some family. Watch some football. Eat some food. And hopefully we can win some money this Thanksgiving. But appreciate you guys watching. Best of luck this week, and we will see you in the next video. Peace.